Hey guys, it's AFLNO boys, and we're doing something different today. This is gonna be a podcast, and we're just gonna, bring up issues and political issues, things that are going on right now, things that are hot topics, and our goal is not to bring in opinions or
It probably is.
Well, it's
though.
opinions, but
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be opinions,
we're
yeah.
trying to bring up facts.
Yeah.
As many facts as possible.
Yeah.
Because the problem with this world is that people are ignorant and people just.
It's because opinions are fucking opinions, okay?
Yeah.
You're just putting fucking air into the world, and that's one of the worst things you can do to this planet is just start.
All right. What do you want to start off with?
I don't know. I mean,
let's talk about this Orlando thing.
yeah.
So, as probably all of you have heard that are listening to this, terrible tragedy in Orlando.
Dude, why this isn't like a news thing. We're just talking here, all right?
All right,
What do you want to talk about? Because we talked about this for a little bit, and and honestly,
okay. So, hold on. Let me just lay it out, right?
Do it.
So, the conservatives, see this.
All right, we're just gonna start.
No.
Let me lay it out. The conservatives,
No. So the conservatives see this as a radical Islam issue, and the quote-unquote liberals, which I feel like me and Sam, we lean more towards the liberal side, but we choose not to label ourselves.
We're not extreme.
We're not extreme. We choose not to be extreme anywhere. We just look at facts. But the quote-unquote liberals see it as a gun control problem. Now let's break down the facts here, right? The whole thing that makes this a gun control problem. Wow, that was a voice crack.
Yeah.
The whole thing that makes this a gun control problem is that this dude had a licensed gun.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too: is that saying that it's ISIS it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's that this guy was just a sad dude. He was Muslim, right?
Yeah. So here he was Muslim. He I'm gonna lay out the facts of his background.
Yeah.
Which, So
I
he was.
I haven't followed this to the extent that you have.
Yeah. So he was Muslim. There was some new information that came to light recently, but what we knew in the beginning was that he was Muslim. He had been interviewed by the CIA, interviewed by the FBI 2 to 4 times. I'm not sure on that number. He was put on multiple terrorist watch lists, and he was mentally and emotionally unstable, labeled so by his relatives. He beat his ex-wife, and he had a very vocal hate for Jews, whites, gays, blacks. He was just a terrible person. And this man, who was recognized by the government as he was put on several terrorist watch lists, he still had the quote-unquote right, because he was American. He had quote-unquote Second Amendment rights, and he had the ability to go and purchase a licensed gun. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. No, so he was on a bunch of terrorist watch lists, and his ex-wife also said that she tried to talk him out of the attacks a lot, and it also came out that he went to the nightclub.
He was gay. This dude was actually secretly gay. Now,
that just tells me that, like, how are you gonna say that this was an ISIS thing? Because he only publicly pledged allegiance to ISIS hours before the shooting happened. No, didn't he do it in like a Facebook post or something? He was like
something
ISIS,
like that, yeah.
Yeah, or a tweet or some shit.
Yeah.
It's so weird that people like you just post some shit like that on Twitter nowadays, right? Isn't that? We'll come back to it. But like, so yeah, he just said ISIS, all right, but that absolutely tells me that he was just this sad, like. Conflicted guy, because that's what it said. He's. I expect that if he came to the point of pledging allegiance to ISIS, he is a very devout Muslim.
Extremist.
Yeah, well, to an extent of his faith where he would to a sect of Islam that hates gay people.
Yeah, this is. See, think about this though, right? This dude had an ex-wife, right?
Yeah.
Think of it this way. He went through his whole life trying to suppress his sexual urges.
Yeah.
This is a perfect proof that you don't make a choice to be gay.
Yeah.
Because this dude, think of it this way: he was born gay. He lived his whole life,
And
knowing
he hated
on
it.
the inside being gay, but he grew up in an environment
That hated him.
in the stigma where his kind was hated. So obviously he's not going to publicly show that. But now that this information is out, that he went to the nightclub several times. Dude, the pills are hitting me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's like, it's just so freaking sad. And first of all, I'm not sad for this guy. This guy, he should have put a bullet in himself before the shooting and then not done the shooting, I think.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's just so freaking sad that this guy, like, I mean, he was told his entire life that who he was shitty, and then he took it out on a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And that just sucks. And
Yeah.
he wasn't ISIS. He was just a sad, crazy guy. I mean, there's like, I don't see how a lot of like news stations write huge long articles on guys like this when it's just that. It's just, you could, I mean, I got this
we're
notification.
coming to these conclusions based on the evidence that's given. This isn't.
I mean,
we're trying to
yeah.
input as least personal.
Yeah, I mean, if you like when I woke up, because I was it was like 1:00 at night when I got the ABC News like notification. I was sleeping on my couch because I was playing video games and I'm sad, and I was sleeping on my couch, and I got the notification and I woke up, looked at it, just turned off my phone and went to bed, because
We're so desensitized to
every
it.
single one of these incidents, you could write about them all in a single article, and it's just that it's these fucking sad assholes, these who were never told that they were wrong enough in their life, like who were never told that you know, you can't hurt people, you can't you can't bring your ideas into action if they're violent ideas, and you should never do that. And they were never asked to like get help and then suddenly they got their hands on a gun and they just
exactly, and they got their hands on a legal gun. He had,
Yeah.
because of the Second Amendment,
yeah.
because he was American.
Well, half because of the Second Amendment and half because we don't check, and that's just
Yeah, there are
shitty.
so many, and after this to Orlando, I tried to inform myself more on, you know, the way gun control is now in this country.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, the issue of gun control is not about liberals or conservatives. This is a national safety issue. It is simply a culmination of reasoning. It is just, it's
Yeah.
reasoning. It's pattern recognition. How can we not see that these dudes who are how can we not see that?
Well, one sec. It's that.
Well,
Here.
first of all, you know, okay, no, just keep going.
It's that people say that, like, if you give everyone guns, then there are less bad guys than there are good guys in the world, and the good guys will kill the bad guys before the bad guys can use their gun to do evil stuff. And you know, that in a perfect world that would make sense. And I always bring up Australia and Japan and these places that have like these gun control, these actual like gun bans. Well, Japan doesn't ban guns, they just rigorously check, and it's a long process to get one.
Yeah.
And
in Europe, for example, what they do is, it's not illegal to own a gun, but any automatic assault weapon in Europe,
Yeah.
you buy it, you go through very rigorous training, psychoanalytic tests,
yeah,
and
emotional analytic, yeah,
emotional tests, and they keep your automatic assault weapon in an armory where you go, you shoot at the shooting range as much as you want with your gun.
Fuck up. Okay, so in Australia though, they banned guns, and murder rates like went up. So there was more murder in the like after guns were banned, and that sucks obviously, but you know what? There wasn't a lot of people getting murdered at the same fucking time by one guy. There was a guy who would come out and like stab somebody, and then the police would be called, and since he had a knife or like a screwdriver and not a goddamn sniper rifle in a tower, the police came and they were like, oh, and then they shot him because the police have guns. I love this so much when people are like, well, it's so funny to me that, we say that we should take away guns, but when when we're in trouble, guys with guns come and save us. It's because that would be such a shitty argument if you were like, yeah, take away all guns from the entire world.
And
that just doesn't fucking work, all right? You take guns, you keep the police and the SWAT team especially with guns, and you keep your first responders armed.
And a lot of conservative people's argument is that, well, guns aren't the problem, and it's that the people are the problem, which to an extent is true. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. But
people with guns kill people.
Yeah, no, the thing is, though, people say, oh, well, if someone really wants to kill someone, they'll use anything like a knife or whatever.
Yeah.
The problem with that stupid argument is that a gun is designed to kill someone. That is the sole purpose of a gun.
Yeah.
A butter knife isn't. That's not a butter knife.
Yeah.
The use of it is to spread fucking butter.
Listen,
and someone takes that, like it's a terrible argument because a gun is designed to kill someone.
A gun is not a tool. All right, it's a weapon. It was designed to be a weapon. It was not designed to be a hammer or some shit. Like if I had a knife, I could whittle myself like a beautiful piece of art. I could use it to spread paint on a canvas. I could use it to cut food. I could use it to do all sorts of shit. I could use it to make fire. I can't use it to go out into a crowd and kill 50 people. Because on like the second person, somebody's going to be like, oh, this guy is stabbing a lot of people. And then I get arrested. And here, if you're listening to this podcast and you're just like seething because you hate anybody who talks about gun control, great. Maybe you'll agree on some. Maybe you'll agree with some of our other opinions. Maybe this one we disagree on. And if you choose to bring your opinion out on the internet, I want you to know that you're a cancer to the society and nobody cares.
Yeah. The thing is, though, what we're bringing up isn't opinion. We're bringing up logic.
Yeah.
We are literally taking evidence. We're taking evidence, and we're trying to have as little personal skewed interpretation as possible. And we're trying to come to a logical conclusion that's the best for the society.
Now, I think... Here, maybe look this up for a second here.
All right.
Because somebody brought up to me that there was a scientist, who did a study that saw that guns, like, if more people had guns, it could save more lives than it's taken. And then I realized, how the hell do you get that information?
Well, actually...
How the hell do you study that?
Last year, the Second Amendment... 32,000 people died from gun violence.
Yeah.
But 500,000 people were saved.
Okay, how do you how do you get that information? How is that study done?
Oh, that was actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I literally just saw someone comment that in a Facebook post.
Yeah.
It could.
So here, one second, look at that.
Oh, and another statistic too, though, is that if you own a gun, a licensed gun that you keep in your home, you are 80% more likely to use that motherfucker on yourself.
Well, yeah, it's the fastest way to kill yourself. That just means that there are a lot of people who want to kill themselves in this country. I mean,
all right. So so what do you want me to search up?
Search up. Study shows more guns means more safety. Because this got brought up to me, and if this is true, then that's great. But I don't know. I mean, you really have to. First of all, I want to go off on a different tangent. Is that like scientific studies that you see on the internet usually are a bunch of college students who discovered one thing and the media made it a completely different thing because it was easier to do. I mean, there was a study that came out that said in high doses, I think it was like methane and CO2 can actually like kill cancer cells, and then the article from the New York Times was that breathing in farts can cure cancer. So that's a very important thing to watch out for when you're on.
Yeah. Right. So right here,
yeah.
The study says, while American gun ownership is quite high, many other developed nations, for example, Norway, Finland, Germany, France, Denmark, have high rates of gun ownership. These countries, however, have murder rates as low or lower than many developed nations in which gun ownership is much rare. For example, Luxembourg, where handguns are totally banned and ownership of any kind of gun is minimal, had a murder rate 9 times higher than Germany in 2002.
So here, look up
Where firearms are most dense, violent crime rates are lowest, and where guns are least dense, violent crimes are highest.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, see, look here. Okay. Another thing that relates to this, that Donald Trump actually commented on this, saying that what he was going to have, he was going to take away gun-free zones in schools.
Yeah.
And
I mean, gun-free zones, like, for bad people, they're not doing shit anyway.
I have first of all, if you guys don't know, I'm actually, this is legitimate, like, when I'm in my 50s, I'm running for president. Because I feel like I could solve this nation's problems.
Well,
honestly.
It's legitimate, like,
but anyways,
now,
but anyways, yeah, I know that it doesn't. The problems won't apply in 30. But anyways, I don't even know why I mentioned that. I'm such an idiot. The pills are hitting me. But anyways, what I think that because
why are you talking so loud? First of all,
I don't know. I'm sorry. Because of the fact that people with malicious intent who are mentally unstable will get their hands on a gun illegally if they can't obtain one legally if we were to have gun control laws. I think that what we could do as a nation is implement a system where we hire veterans to guard schools.
Like war veterans?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I know that a lot of war veterans come back. They have severe mental incapacities. So what we do is we put that veteran through a series of tests. We find out if there's any inkling of any mental...
Like PTSD or something.
Like PTSD, schizophrenia, all that. We find out depression, any of that stuff. If there's no inkling of anything whatsoever, some dude who comes back, he goes to the military when he's 18, he comes back, he's 26 years old, he went through the war, and he comes back, he had those experiences which were probably horrible, but he's fine, you know what I mean, he's just a normal human being. He comes back. This would offer a job for them, and it's something that maybe it's not, maybe it'll never happen, maybe there will never be another shooting at the respective location where that person's at, but it's taking safety measures. Now, maybe what I'm saying is unnecessary, maybe I won't, and I think that in the future, if at some point gun control laws are more stricter gun control laws are implemented, maybe that won't be a necessary thing. But right now, especially, maybe if right now we targeted neighborhoods where there was a certain line of gun violence that this neighborhood crossed or that this city crossed, like Chicago, Inglewood, we could put people at those schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the only things I'm thinking of that could be are hypothetical situations, because if there's a security guard at the school, that's the first guy you're gonna shoot, and also the state doesn't have enough money for public schools to pay that person any more than minimum wage. But I'm too tired to think of a legitimate argument against that. So if anybody does, tell us, because we love to be proven wrong.
Yeah. So drop if any of the subjects we talk about in this podcast and future podcasts, because we're definitely gonna have a lot. If you want to rebuttal anything, you want to give us more information, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to evolve as human beings in terms of intellectually, because we're always trying to search for the most informed. Yeah. If there's no
the most informed argument.
Yeah, the most informed argument, because if there's no truth, if there's no answer where it's open to.
Here, wait a second. Let's go back to the study we Googled here. Yeah. So, if this is true, and that's if this is true, it would mean that there are two extremes. There's massive amounts of people owning guns, and then crime goes down, or there's no one owning guns, or very strict gun laws, and crime rates go very far. Mass shootings go down, and gun deaths go down. I feel like if we had to have one of the two extremes, at least for me, but this is an opinion, so this is part of the what do we call it? There's logical, there's illogical, and there's let's just call it the opinion side. Like, this goes into the opinion part of thought, which is
the opinion part is what benefits you personally.
It's totally
it's subjective.
Subjectively for me, I'd rather have no one like having guns, probably. And it's not because I'm scared of guns. It's just that why the fuck? Like, first of all, kids can get a hold of them, and you'd kill yourself a lot of the time. I don't know.
I in my opinion, what I feel is the most logical solution. I think someone who's responsible, someone who is educated. First of all, in my opinion, what the facts show.
Oh wait, here is that for your let's go back to the plan for like veterans and stuff.
Yeah.
So most I think the majority, this and less, but school shootings occurred a lot of the time with a kid with a gun. Is that veteran gonna shoot the kid, like if he has a gun?
Yeah.
All right.
Like, the answer is yes.
All right.
But anyways, so I don't even remember what I was saying because you cut me off.
You're right. I win.
Do you want to like transfer to another?
We have dove deep. I think there's more to go. Let's just not do that.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you want to do? Like, we're gonna do 2 subjects per podcast. We're gonna go in depth in one, like we just did the gun control.
I feel like I'd rather like. Why would we like structure these? I mean,
let's not. You know what?
Because like this whole time we've been talking like we're giving like news, like we're telling people. I'm not getting any sound in this microphone. Like this whole time we've been talking like we're putting news out into this, but we're not. We're just saying things because this is a podcast. This isn't NPR.
Yeah, but Sam, this is a podcast where we're trying to inform people.
Okay.
Kill yourself, honestly.
Okay. I mean, why though?
We're trying to mix comedy, and we're also, for anyone out there who's willfully ignorant, I'm looking at you, radical conservatives. Fuck you. There's no place in this country for you. You fucking sack of shit. I hate all of you.
If you can accurately make yourself think if all the facts that you know entirely disprove your opinion, and you're just walking around with it jumbling in your head, and you won't dare change your opinion,
fuck you.
Then you're wrong, and you're a waste of space.
Like anyone who supports Donald. All right, you want to talk about Donald Trump for a second? Okay.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this man.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing: is that like we can
over a little bit.
Oh, we can sit here and talk about it, but whatever. Oh golly!
Wow.
That's what you get for talking mid burp. Is the voice crack? Whatever you are voting for Donald Trump for, I want you to know that he believes the opposite of it, or he said the opposite of it. You are just a special flower who's happened to like hear his opinion on this opinion that he has on this thing, but he has the exactly opposite version of that he said maybe 2 years ago, maybe 2 minutes ago, maybe after he said that in an interview, and you have just willfully refused to see it.
Yeah, the thing with supporting if you hold maybe it's a different story if you think that Trump is, because with Trump and Hillary now being the 2 nominees for the respective parties, it's
how did we get here?
I'm trying to explain my point. Man, fuck you.
No,
honestly,
keep going. No, not how did we get here in this podcast. How did we get Hillary and Trump as our 2 respective nominees?
Oh shit, my bad, man.
God
I'm sorry,
Wendell.
I love you.
You whore.
Yeah, it's like trying to choose whether to chop off your left hand or right hand.
Yeah.
And I respect, I guess, if you say that you think Trump is a little bit better than Hillary, because if you think about it, she's actually a lot more corrupt than him from what we know.
Yeah, but
Okay, okay, that's not
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get. But if you really, from the beginning, if you wholeheartedly support Trump and all of his ideals, you blindly follow them and you just take these as the right answer, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I fucking hate you.
And he is a shepherd of the uninformed.
Yeah.
So you are just one of them.
He's Moses, and you are just a fucking Israelite.
I hope you know that when you have children and aren't able to teach them these things, they're going to go out and make this world a worse place, and then they're going to have children do the same thing.
Yeah.
So your entire line of family is a waste of space on this planet, only fit to do menial labor. And if they ever get a job that gives them any power in anything to society, you have corrupted the world in a way that is irreversible, and we hate you.
Yeah, the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna make, when I make statements, I have facts behind them. You know, the same thing with you. I think I'm speaking for you too.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you why I think you're a fucking piece of shit from the bottom of my heart. Let's start. Where do I even start? You want to start with the Muslims?
No, it's funny because, like, people try to defend him, and they say, let's build this wall, and legally, if you can legally come through immigration and you know, get your green card, you can come across the border. Like, all right.
Okay, first of all, that's a pipe dream, because I know from personal experience, because my parents at one point were illegal immigrants. My parents came here from Brazil. I was born here. I know how the shit works. Americans, a lot of ignorant, especially ignorant American teenagers, white ignorant American teenagers, specifically, all they have is fucking pipe dreams. They never know what they're talking about. This is how it works. People come here. This is what happened with my parents before, you know, they were legalized. Is that people come here they just get a visa. They come here, they overstay the 6 months, and all of a sudden their status changes from legal to illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And that status change, that piece of paper that's expired, that documentation, apparently in this country, all of a sudden it makes them a fucking criminal. It makes them an evil person.
And here's the thing, is that if we let's actually go at like what his plan is, because he's not saying increase border security. He's not saying he's saying build like a wall.
And he wants to deport all of the illegal immigrants.
Which, first of all, no, that's just flat out impossible.
Yeah.
And he's said the opposite of it at some point.
Yeah. First of all, if you really wanted to deport all 12 million, I think, immigrants that are here, undocumented Americans, as some people like to call them, you would need to transport 650 double-decker busloads every day for 20 years.
And that means that none of them are getting a trial, that you're probably taking them away from families.
Yeah.
You're probably taking them away from a lot of jobs that they didn't take from you, you just didn't get.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. People who say that immigrants are taking our jobs, illegal immigrants coming here and working in horrid conditions, making a horrid wage to support their families, are the reason that you have the cost of living that you do now. Because if there were Americans working those jobs, which there isn't, if there were Americans working these jobs like picking strawberries off a 1,000-acre plot, a box of strawberries would cost $25, not fucking whatever it is now, like $2. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Because people, for example, in a lot of plantations in New Mexico, they pick oranges.
Yeah.
They pick by the basket. A basket, I think it takes like 26 oranges to fill up a basket.
Yeah.
They get paid $1 per basket.
Yep.
Do you know how long it takes? And that motherfucker's heavy. They have to carry that down the aisle of fucking plants.
Like hundreds.
It is
of yards.
hundreds of yards. It is. People have no idea, and then people say, "Oh, we're gonna deport the illegal immigrants, and then we're gonna deport the immigrants, and we're gonna get all these lazy Americans to do their jobs." Are you fucking kidding me? Is that your argument? You're gonna get the lazy? All right. You know, I don't even know why we're addressing this, because if there's any ignorant people out there listening, the problem with ignorant people is that you won't change them.
Yeah. It's my favorite Tim Minchin quote, that may as well be 10 minutes back in time for all the chance you'll change your mind.
Yeah. And for you ignorant fucks who don't understand what that means, is that it might as well have been 10 minutes ago, or in the case of this podcast, however many minutes ago, because all the facts that we've laid out for your personal gain, so only you can better yourself, is not going to change you because you're a piece of shit.
Somewhere in your brain, you're going to think, there's probably something that disproves that, and then continue your life living that. But if there is, Google it. Anybody who has an opinion, Google the opposite of it, and then Google the actual one of it. Open it on 2 different pages, and actually see what's up. Because 9 out of 10 times, you don't know any of the things, and when somebody asks you about it, you're not going to be able to defend it, and you're just going to get annihilated as a human being.
And the bottom line is that in this country, this is a free country, right? Everyone is entitled to their opinion. You can think whatever the fuck you want. I don't care what you think, okay? But in the scenario of a discussion or an argument where you're trying to prove your opinion, if you just have an opinion and you don't have any foundation to that, you are useless. You are a waste of space in that circle where you are arguing. You are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I hate you. No.
Did you get poison ivy on my nose?
No.
Okay.
So what else do you want to fill this?
There was a while where I wanted to maintain my like on AFLNO on the channel. I wanted to maintain my character from PJFKM, and like have that like guy. But no, this is an all around channel. I found out. Which is weird.
We can do anything on this channel that we want. What else do you want to tackle? We're not. The point of this podcast, we're not going to try and fill this with bullshit just to like fill in the minutes of the video. Like we're trying to bring quality content for you. What else do you want to talk about? Is there anything that's on your mind? Or?
I don't know. Let's say that. I don't know. Let's just talk about our lives at this point. I don't really care. I feel like if we like continue just getting angry about our what we have, what we're saying, then
it's not going to change our lives at all.
Yeah. It's not going to change anything.
So, how do you
What do you want to do when you grow up? Because we've talked about this before a lot, and it's that because Wendell and I really like having big conversations, like having large screaming matches in which the end is the end.
But the screaming matches we're agreeing with each other the whole time.
We're just screaming, agreeing at each other, and the end result is always life is meaningless and everything dies.
And for all of those. If anyone's out there who's watching is religious at all, we're not offending you. You can.
We're probably offending you, but that's
we're not. We're simply laying out facts.
Yeah.
And if that contradicts what your faith is, and you feel, and you just choose not to accept these facts as reality, that's by all means that's fine. It's your own life. You know what I mean?
Well,
like you're not taking away anybody else's.
Here's the thing: is that God, like the deity over which your religion is based, which is probably a cookie cutter, interchangeable mesh of Judeo Christianity, and probably some Chinese cults like inner workings thrown together into a book. We're not gonna disprove that your God exists. We're just going to disprove like all the ideas that go along with it.
Because there's always what I've figured out and back to the question that you were saying about what I want to be when I grow up. So me and Sam, we like asking big questions, and this YouTube thing that we have, it's great. We love doing it, and it's something that we could do for the rest of our lives without getting paid a single penny for it. But we would really like to see this grow. Yeah. And you guys' support is what's going to do that. And if we could make a living out of this later on in the future, we're both 16. Yeah. So right now we're both sophomores. if we could make a living.
Why did we just go off on a tangent, apologizing to religious people and then not talk about anything of that sort?
No, because you said what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm trying to explain. Yeah. All right, if we can make a living off this, that'd be great. If this YouTube thing isn't what really is what it is, I want to be an astrophysicist, which is something that takes a lot of work. So what I want to do is major, for my bachelor's, my first 4 years, I want to major in physics and then get my master's in astronomy and PhD in astrophysics. I know that's a long ass time, but it's the beauty with astrophysics, which for those of you who don't know is studying interstellar bodies, and celestial.
It's being able to answer bigger questions about us.
It's because I realized that for me, for what I want, for how my mind works, me and Sam, we literally have like the same exact brain. Am I right?
Yeah.
And our brains are just constantly diving deeper. Me and Sam are more self-aware, I feel, than more self-aware of what we actually are.
It always seems real douchey when we say that.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. It's just that we like thinking more about shit that we're never going to come to an answer to.
Yeah.
And in some way that translates into the bigger discussions.
The beauty I feel with being an astrophysicist or any scientist in general is that it's something that will never end.
Yeah.
All knowledge that there is to be discovered ever about anything is infinite. So whatever humans come to know in now and in the future is always going to be nothing, because it's like 100 out of infinity, 1,000,000 out of infinity. It's always going to be nothing because infinity's infinity. So I think the beauty of being an astrophysicist for me is that I get to wake up every day and always know that I'm not done.
Yeah.
Always know that I'm contributing to discoveries that can change how we look at ourselves and how we how we interrelate with each other, because if you studying big things like this, it's going to affect how we on Earth treat each other, because what people don't realize is that just because of our consciousness being on this planet, it's human nature to see ourselves as the center of everything,
Yeah.
And what it is, the fact is, this is not an opinion, the fact is that the human race and this brain that we have that's developed over the tens of thousands of years is simply a byproduct of a chain reaction that occurred. Mm-hmm. We are just some organisms that manifested over millions of years.
A lovely bit of carbon. We're just organisms that manifested over millions of years on a floating rock in an observable universe that is way more than what we can see. And it's that knowledge of our relation to everything around us that is easily the most horrifying thing about anything. Yeah. And it's hard to realize, like, on the grand, because it's easy to think like, oh god, I don't matter, but I mean, look at it.
Can you really think about it that way?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the purpose of religion. Maybe it's not even, I don't even think, for a lot of people, I don't even think that it's because, they hate science and they hate facts and they just don't accept reality. It's that it's so scary to think that your life started and it will end and then you're gone. Your ideas can be passed on,
and eventually you're a picture on somebody's mantelpiece and only one person in the entire family knows your name.
Yeah, and it's something where people think a lot of comments that I've gotten when I've gotten into these type of discussions with other people is that people say, oh, well, you have to believe in something. Yeah. Or we have to go somewhere after we die. It's like, but we don't.
Yeah.
We are just.
It's like that's. our brains don't know what it's like to not exist.
Yeah.
And that's the core of the afterlife, is that we need to comprehend it.
Yeah, we need to comprehend. We need to say, like, okay, this state of existence, this state of being that my consciousness is in right now, will continue somehow after my physical body decays and dies. And that's simply, you know what? Maybe, I don't know. Somehow, what we know. The thing is that what we know from the evidence that we have now, and what the assumption that we'll always make from the evidence that we have right now, is that nothing happens after. But, like, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could be wrong. I mean,
we could be wrong.
Well, by the law of conservation of energy, and here's a scientific thing for it, is that whatever the electricity in our mind, in our synapses, that gives us the ability to speak, to think, to love, to desire, all these things, it doesn't just get destroyed when you die. It has to go somewhere. And I don't know.
That's what we would call consciousness.
Yeah, and you could say that in some way, like, that means that energy will go somewhere. But also, I mean, when you stop moving your bicycle, that the energy's got to go somewhere. When you turn off your stove, that energy's got to go somewhere. Why is the energy in our brains different than the energy that runs our car? You know? There was a guy, actually, this might, I don't know how I'm going to connect this to this, but there was a guy who measured, or who weighed dead bodies, and, like, weighed people on the deathbeds, and the guy was laying there, and then he died, and he lost, like, 14 grams or something.
Yeah.
Was out of him.
And this dude was trying to prove that
the soul has mass.
That the soul has mass.
And, turns out it was just gases that were being emitted.
Yeah, I caught that from, like, the first time I saw it. But.
And I mean, maybe, like, our consciousness could just be lost in heat in those gases, and suddenly the room is a little hotter and our bodies go cold, and that's how that works. But I don't know.
And it's
I'm tired. My mouth is dry.
Yeah, we just. Do you want to listen? Okay. Yeah, but we're just tired. So the thing, and
it's weird to talk about these things, because at some point, when we can talk and talk, you don't have to respect anything we're saying, because we're two 16-year-old kids who are just, like, who are saying words again. I mean, they're facts, and you should know that. And if you disagree with them, you're probably wrong. I mean, these are, like, facts are facts, and and hypotheses are hypotheses, and you're arguing hypotheses. But we're still just kids, and however we interpret these, it goes two different ways from now until a year from now. And you can leave this and be really angry, or you can leave this and say, look at those kids thinking, at least. Because from what we've experienced in the world, which kind of sucks, like, right now in our naive minds, is that people aren't thinking enough. Yeah. And it sucks.
It's if you think about it, I was thinking about, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, and I was thinking about this the other day, is that our brains have evolved so greatly that our brains have basically gotten so good that they can choose to be bad. Like,
this is not me and his brain. This is everybody's brain.
Yeah, it's that our brains the human race's brains has evolved to a point where it has the free
we can make the
will,
conscious decision not to think.
Yeah, not
to accept things.
Yeah, to not move forward. And I think that is interesting, but upsetting. I don't even know how. It's just, and really ignorance and the ignorance itself as an idea, and the ignoring of facts, reality, truth, just to suppress it with your own opinion.
It's different from like, being ignorant is different from not knowing the facts. Yeah, that's just a person who hasn't Googled or gone on Wikipedia. Yeah, but ignorance is like being like, oh, okay, so there are facts out there. I don't really feel like being disproved. I feel like I'm right already.
You can do that, but
I mean, dear God, I love, like, anytime somebody's, like, I mean, this is one of the reasons I'm great friends with Wendell, is that whenever I say some shit... Best friends. Fuck you. My cat is my best friend. Whenever, like, I say some shit, and he goes, oh, actually this. I go, really? I don't go, nope, that doesn't sound right to me. And whenever Wendell says some shit, and I'm like, no, actually this, he goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. Instead of, oh, fuck you and your religion.
The thing, going back to the topic of religion, because it kind of relates to what we're talking about now.
Yeah, why not? Let's dive into that one.
Yeah, it's that, you have to think of it, the fact that any religion was created.
The fact that here, let's start with this foundation, is that whatever you believe in, usually you believe in it because you were brought up believing in it, because you were born in a place that believed it.
Yeah.
Other than, the odd 25-year-old who became a Buddhist for no reason, and got tattoos all over themselves. But whatever you believe is because you were born to believe that. That's why Christianity is all over America, and Catholicism is all over America, and Hinduism is all around, like, India, and Buddhism is all around Nepal, because, like, it's not some shit that you believe it and then you're like, all right, I believe this. It's that you believe it and then you need other people to believe it. And that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, and it's that and that's any religion was created when the human race did not have access to any of the information or knowledge that we have now. So the problem that I see with
some of the greatest, like, cultural myths, like, in Greece, they invented Zeus to speak about the lightning. They invented Ares to bring
Prometheus
sense
was the creator
to war.
of humankind.
Yeah, to bring sense to war. I mean, this is all...
And, yeah, it's the problem that I see with religion. Like, you can believe it. It doesn't make you a bad person. On the contrary, a lot of religions preach peace and, loving, which is, I'm all about that. And if your religion, another thing is that if your religion is what wakes you up in the morning and gives you purpose and makes you not blow your fucking brains out, keep believing that, because to me the well-being of mankind and the well-being of people and people loving each other and not discriminating, and people waking up with a purpose, whether that purpose is logical or not, that's more important to me than everyone, like being scientists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's more important to me. So that's that. Back to what I was saying, is that the problem that I see with religion is that it was created in an epoch where where there was no access to information or knowledge. So the people aren't evolving with the new information that we found.
It's the absence of information.
Yeah,
is the blind jabs to explain it.
It's like, here, let me give a good analogy. Is that which is what a lot of my family members do, is that,
I was lucky to come from a more, like, spiritual Christian family instead of, a devout Christian, which was basically that we'd read a passage of the Bible that meant nothing, and then we'd say, this means, like, have strength in the world, instead of this means literally what it says.
Yeah. Which,
like, honestly, you could read me the Percy Jackson series and be like, this means have strength, and I'd be like, I'll have strength. Great. Like,
yeah. When you go, okay, let me give an analogy here.
Yeah.
When you go into court, right?
Yeah.
You're going to court as a supposedly unbiased jury member.
Yeah.
And you have the plaintiff and the defendant.
Yeah.
Each of those sides is going to give facts and evidence, what they call facts and evenance, to support whatever they're trying to defend, their claim, la-di-da-di-da.
So let's say
your job
for the sake of this, let's say all of what they say is facts and evidence.
Okay. Yeah, for this sake, let's say what all they say is facts. what are you gonna do? You're gonna side with, you're gonna go with the side that presented the most plausible argument that was backed up
Yeah.
by the most important, or just the most in number, facts.
Yeah. You're gonna start with, did this guy actually do something illegal?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, then you can say, all right, how illegal was it, and is there a
Yeah.
precedent for leniency?
The problem that I see with people who are religious, let's say a devout Christian, who believes in the Bible 100% literally to the core, to every word, is that if they go into an argument that way, they're not going in unbiased, trying to weed out the bullshit from the truth. They're going in only taking in the evidence that supports whatever side they came in biased to.
Yeah.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
That's
And
ignorance.
also because it's not facts.
Yeah.
It's something you read. And I mean, there are facts to support that Jesus was alive.
Obviously,
yeah.
Jesus was a real person.
Yeah, Jesus was, like, he was a real person. He lived in Africa. He was very black. I'm fucking with you.
Oh, okay, you're
no,
okay.
Yeah. No, he,
So-
yeah, like, that's actually,
Hold on, this topic about... I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Continue, go for
This
it.
topic about Jesus is funny because people just stick to, especially white Americans, stick to the fact that, oh, Jesus is white and blonde.
Yeah.
Science...
Dude was black as shit. Dude was blacker than your flat screen when you turn it off.
He wasn't
all right?
black. From
No,
from what we can deduce of where he was born and where he's from, and fossil remains of other people that lived around there, and diary entries, all of that we take, which is history, which is how we determine historical events, is that Jesus was a brown Palestinian man.
Yeah.
Who...
Well, back then the like skin tones were way darker, so he was probably pretty black.
Sure.
Or
also,
he was browner than mahogany.
he was
I'm so
he was,
fucking done.
I am...
All right. Yeah. But yeah. And we've come to this Eurocentric society.
In the Bible, there shows one description, there's one physical description of Jesus in the Bible,
Mhm.
and it says that actually I'm gonna search it up right now so I don't say anything I don't know.
Okay.
Biblical description of
Description
gee, I can't spell.
of Jesus.
Race and appearance of Jesus. So where does it say here?
All right.
Okay.
What does it say?
Oh my god. Okay. So the verse. I want to give you guys the verse. I don't want to like paraphrase anything.
The only verse in the Bible here.
Jesus Christ. I'm
He
trying to.
He had
It's
no beauty or what?
no. All right. I'm just gonna give you the summary of the verse. Search it up on your own. The summary of the verse is that him, his feet, like referring to the color of his feet, were like shit.
Brazen.
No, it's were bronze. His feet were bronze and his hair was white like wool. Wool is sheep wool.
Yeah.
Wool, hold on. Yeah, sheep wool, like that.
Yeah. We have a picture of it. Up
Yeah,
now.
we have a picture of sheep
because
wool.
Wendell didn't know if I knew what wool looked
Shut
like
up.
or not.
So basically, it's long curls. So that could be a black person afro.
Doesn't it say? Wait, it said white like sheeple.
White, like what? It's either white like wool or like white wool.
Oh.
So that could either be a black person's afro,
Yeah.
or it could be like the Jewish curls.
Yeah.
So
Well, here's the thing: is that like interpreting a Bible verse, it's interpreting. What we do know is that he was born to Palestinian people in what is now the Middle East. That doesn't make him a white dude with blonde hair.
Yeah.
That doesn't make him a white
So
dude
yeah,
with,
so
with light brown hair,
I have Palestinian Jews up here on Google Images, and these dudes are relatively brown.
Yeah.
They
Well,
are-
and back then, before any European before any influence.
Well,
in
he
any
lived.
other
He
part of
lived
the
during
world.
the Roman times. So
Yeah, but like still, I mean, the Romans were relatively like to what Europe is now, and to what America and this whole like
yeah, that's
Eurocentric
true. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, shit was way darker than it is now, and for
Yeah.
good reason, because that's like
His-
that was an evolutionary trait.
Historically, white people are garbage.
Oh God, I know.
But let's not talk about that's
Oh God.
How long do you want this podcast to run?
I don't know. Let's just keep going.
It's been 50. Do you want to just keep going?
Let's just keep going.
Okay. Yeah, this podcast is gonna be long as fuck. So if you guys want to
Probably.
like listen to the whole thing, by all means, please do.
Why would
If
they
you want
not?
to,
Never mind.
fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Do you want me? Should I put like the timestamps in the description of like where we start a new subject? So like if you want to listen, if you want to just skip to that, you can just go.
All right, sure. Why not?
You know, man, fuck you.
Yeah, but so it's centered around like the belief in Jesus, that Jesus was real. And what was the thing? Wendell has had a lot more like devout religion in his life than I have, and studied more like specific parts of the Bible extensively than I have. But
yeah, I was raised in a devout Christian home.
yeah, what was you are being raised. We're both being raised in that.
Yeah.
Like, what was that one thing that you brought up a while back? There was like, there are three possibilities for Jesus. Is that either he was the Son of God, he was crazy, or he was a liar?
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you want me to explain that?
Yeah, sure, do it.
Yeah. So, I frequent this youth group. I don't up to this point I don't necessarily identify with any religion whatsoever. But I just go there for the social aspect. And the pastor, yeah, I'm just trying to say that.
Yeah.
So the pastor there gave a sermon on Jesus, and who he really was, and obviously he was trying to give the sermon saying that
It's
trying to prove that
this
he's the Messiah.
church's interpretation of this translation of the last translation of the Bible.
And the pastor gave so first of all he proved that Jesus was a real person, as there were several Greek and Roman historians who proved this dude was real. So and then the question came down to, was Jesus who he said he was?
Yeah.
Who did Jesus say was? Jesus said that he was the Messiah, the person, he was the Son of God, was come down and originally saved the Jewish people.
Yeah.
Eventually, as according to the Bible, it just came to the point where he wanted to save anyone who believed in him, that he believed that he was the Messiah.
There are three possibilities.
There were three possibilities. So, these are fairly logical possibilities.
Yeah, this is a fairly logical argument.
A fairly logical argument is that there are three possibilities to who Jesus was. Jesus was either
the Son of God.
No, let me start. So Jesus was either a liar,
Yeah.
a lunatic, or he was really the Son of God.
Yeah.
So let's tackle that first argument. It's him being a liar.
Yeah.
As
if he was a willful con man.
Yeah, a willful con man, someone who, so he was someone who's a liar. So, I cannot. So he was a liar. Now this argument is invalid, we could say.
Well,
in comparison to what
it's highly illogical.
Illogical.
That someone who willfully lies would lie themselves onto a cross and never repent what they said.
like this dude went out. He never.
He went through. There was a lot of torture that happened to Jesus.
A lot of torture, and he spit in his face, all that, and according to the Bible and other non-religious texts, that we have, is that Jesus was a very good person. He was a very loving person.
Yeah.
And a very inclusive person. Jesus did not discriminate against anyone.
Yeah.
Despite the prejudices that they had at that time, which is very progressive.
Yeah.
Of him as a person. And so him being someone who was willfully not telling the truth about the certain cause that he was trying to project among the populace is highly logical because
illogical.
I said illogical.
Oh.
Highly logical, because no one would die. I know I wouldn't lie about something to the point where someone was like, I will waterboard you multiple times.
Yeah.
if you keep selling.
Yeah.
So the fact that he would lie for something like that is ridiculous. Not to say, maybe there is the shred of a possibility that maybe he was that sick and twisted in the head.
Yeah.
Which comes, so that leads to the next argument. So if he really did lie himself to the cross, go through all of that pain, get sold out by Judas Iscariot, maybe he was a lunatic.
Yeah.
Now, this one has, I think, a bit more possibility, but it's definitely still on the illogical side.
Is it?
It is because
well,
someone who is a lunatic, if he really was a pathological liar and he did lie himself onto that cross and go through all that torture, we could diagnose him as we could diagnose him from the knowledge that we have today. We could diagnose him as a, god damn it, hold on, I'm trying to fix this goddamn filter. We could diagnose him finally today as a, maybe schizophrenic, bipolar, dual person.
If he actually has,
if he actually,
what is it? A Jesus? Like it's a Messiah complex.
No, we're getting involved later. Okay. Jesus Christ, come on. So, the argument that he was a lunatic is a bit more on the illogical side, and I want to tell you why. Because this man, when he was 12 years old, he got into a temple of religious, what do you call them? Clerics, and he destroyed all of them. He literally gave them a lesson on their own religion, and he was a man who was constantly going out giving information to people, and he was constantly ridiculed. He kept his cool under all of the pressure and ridicule he went through. He never went crazy. He never he never killed anyone. You know what I mean? Like
wait, who, like, where did we learn that he went into a temple and schooled all the people?
The Bible says that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, obviously the Bible could trump up what he actually did. They could say that he did all these amazing things, and it just might not be true. It might be, because also it's been translated a bunch of times, so that could play a part in it. And also, like, I think lunatic is the wrong word for it, because that means he had some mental disability. But there is a lot of precedent throughout history that would say that somebody with a faith that is so devout would go through a lot. That's why Christians during the Spanish Inquisition, people would remain devout even through all the torture they went through, which was way worse than what happened. And that's why,
but the thing is, it's not just about his religion; it's about who he's claiming to be. So, the conclusion that we can come to, because I guess you could say we won't know.
Yeah, I mean, what's the conclusion that we're coming to?
The Messiah complex.
Yeah.
So the conclusion that we can come to, based on the evidence that we have, that's completely religiously unbiased, is that it's something called the Messiah complex, where his mother, Mary, supposedly had this immaculate conception, which we know is not biologically possible.
It's not possible.
She had this vision from the angel Gabriel, about him, Jesus being the Messiah, the Savior of all mankind. So the point is that I'm trying to make is that from birth, his mother, in her mind, in her conscience, saw her son as the Savior of mankind. So he grew up within his head seeing this as a fact.
Yeah.
So he grew up in his head seeing this as truth. Yeah. So he lived his life. Yeah. He lived his life. He because in his
head he lived his life learning that he was the Messiah, and therefore he grew up thinking that he was the Messiah. Same way that you can raise same way that cats can raise a dog, and the dog will always sit like a cat. Basically. Yeah. I don't mean to compare everybody there to animals, but I do, and they're a waste of space. No,
Shut up.
I'm kidding. No, that's just
we're just trying to make an analogy.
Yeah.
I love analogies. Analogies help. So it's just him, it's just he grew up, in his head he was the Messiah. So it kind of justifies everything that happened, because in the universe of his consciousness, he was the Messiah.
And also,
that was a truth that he held evident.
I'd like to say something else, is that if we, like, if we took a figure like Martin Luther King, who was an incredible, he was an incredible figure of hope and truth and like equality that for black people during the civil rights movement. And I'm sure if we took any book about him, any biography about him, and took it and translated it into a text that is in some way epic, or is in some way like an allegorical story, I mean, everything that he did, which was amazing, we could make it sound so amazing that it sounds like inhuman. So all things like Jesus did, where he had his apostles and he gave these people so much hope and he did all these things, like that's a crazy accomplishment for somebody, that he was able to give all these people so much hope. I mean, why do we need to then say that, you know, he walked on water, he cured blindness, or he, you know, did all this? Yeah, well,
I mean, that's the thing with the, you know, with all the miracles that they're all in the Bible, is that there was
accounts of them.
Yeah, there were accounts here. Let me search this up.
Just look it up. Because I mean, if we're gonna say that the Immaculate Conception is impossible, yeah, we have to say that these are impossible too.
Accounts of
Jesus miracles.
Jesus healing.
I mean, because faith healers do the kind of stuff too, which is where
what I'm looking for.
If people, like, faith healers, a lot of the time, they won't, you know, just do all this stuff. Is that, like, they won't plant people in the audience. They'll rub their hands together, and the mood of the room and the faith that they have and that the person there has in the faith healer will be so powerful that it gives them this kind of effect where they feel so much better.
Yeah, so what did you say, the placebo effect already?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
it's the placebo effect.
And it's like that's great, but and if we wrote down like the grand things that faith healers do, you know, in a book, and 1,000 years later somebody read it, they'd say this man was a godly
Can I
figure.
give a personal example?
Go for it.
So, when I was like 12 or 13,
was the speaking tongues thing you're about to
No, not speaking tongues. When I was 12 or 13, I had a nerve problem in my jaw. And, you know, there was this dude that came to the church, and he was saying that he was healing people. So I was like, you know, why not? So I went down there, and, you know, the dude prayed for me, and I kid you not, I did not feel the pain anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I did feel 4 hours later, though?
The pain?
The pain.
Yeah.
So what it is it is absolutely mental. And with all of this research that we have on the human brain and how 50 years ago we didn't realize that our brains and what we think
affects what we feel.
You know,
that's honestly what we feel is just something that our brain is doing for us.
Yeah. So it's insane that we know now how
that we know
that if you who was that guy that said we are what we think?
Who was that? That was how am I blank on his name? He was a famous philosopher.
Oh God. No, that's not what I think, therefore I am. That's what he said.
I think, therefore I am.
And that who was it? How do I not know this? I wanted to say like Socrates, but it's not. It's so not.
René Descartes.
Yeah, Descartes. Yeah.
Descartes.
Yeah.
René Descartes. So it's I think, therefore I am. That is people, if you don't really pay attention to it, you'd be like, oh, that's just stupid. But just really think about it. How
everything you experience in the world is because of how your brain interprets what you see and what you feel.
The same way that a schizophrenic person who's off of pills, we could say, they will hear all the doors slam shut in their house.
Yeah.
And they'll hear voices, right? Now, these voices are what these voices are they're voices they're voices that they've heard at some point in their life that it's all in their head. You know, there's that phrase, you know, it's all in your head. It's their brain because of the chemical imbalance that their brain has. Their brain is manufacturing these senses, and someone who's schizophrenic, or maybe if you're on some type of drug, your senses, because you think like, if you think like, oh, if I'm touching something and it's tangible, it's real. Well, if you're on LSD, or if you take if you drink half a glass of cough syrup, you can feel things that aren't there.
I think like that's one thing, is that when your brain is like altered by some kind of chemical imbalance, some kind of like disorder or something, that's one thing. I think a better example is that, is the thing that whatever colors I see, you could see differently. Like my gray could be entirely different from your gray. And even like the feeling of pain that I have could be totally, that I know and have known, could be totally different from your.
The other thing that I thought of the other day is taste. How my brother can just swallow slices of cheese. If I bite a slice of cheese and chew it, I will puke. Yeah. Now, does that mean that the molecular structure of the cheese is different?
God, no.
Does that mean that the taste is not different? It's how when you're
it could be to you is the thing.
No,
you could taste cheese in a bad way.
The cheese, well, if the molecular structure is what gives the cheese its taste. Yeah. So the cheese is not different, but it's how your gustatory receptors, how your taste buds take it, and the message they send to your brain, how your brain interprets that is what's different.
Give me a high five for that scientific vocab. Yeah. And
so it's the way that your brain responds to this reality.
Like if you drank this and you're like, boy, that is really bitter, I don't like that, and somebody else drinks it and they're like, yeah, that's pretty bitter.
Like with coffee.
That's just bitter. That's just a word that we assign to what that tastes like. To them, that could taste the same as your sour is.
Yeah. It's like a lot of people just drink black coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm physically incapable of doing that. I
drink it out of necessity, because I feel like if I don't like the taste of coffee to that extent, then I might as well just do like a shot, get it over with. and it's the coffee, the molecular structure, the way the coffee's assembled, that none of that changes. It's just how your brain accepts how to experience this reality. Yeah.
So, and it's it's this thing. I think, therefore I am. It's that the entire world is, you're looking the entire world through a lens.
Yeah.
And it's, things like this are not easy for people to comprehend.
Yeah. Because it's very difficult to think about experiencing the world in a different way than you live.
Yeah.
And it's totally understandable.
And this whole concept that we're talking about is, you can directly relate this back to you can relate this directly back to politics. How people,
your interpretation of the facts is different.
Yeah, people
which shouldn't make sense.
Shouldn't make sense.
I think we're gonna have to call it here.
Yeah, we're gonna call it.
I'm gonna have to.
This has been Wendell and Sam, AFLNO, with the podcast. Yeah, we're just saying things. We're just putting words.
Yeah, into the universe.
Whatever
happens.
Yeah. So you guys, if you like this, subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. Ask questions. Drop a like. Go ham on that like. Please disagree with us. I want to know reality. So subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to W216HD, which is just my channel. I play video games. All that good stuff. And
right.
Sam's in some of the videos, and we'll see you guys next time.
Down.
Oh boy, oh boy. God hates Islam.